she was stabbed in the screen on the phone. And I remember her coming towards me to her side of the bed, so I reached under the mattress where she keep her firearm. And I remember getting up, and I thought that I shot her.
Why did you shoot her?
Because she was coming at me with the knife.
I have to live the rest of my life knowing that I wasn't there for my baby. She must have been terrified. She must have been terrified for her children downstairs. And I just need some closure. I need some peace with her children to move forward. That's all. We just need some peace and justice. That's all we asking for. She did not deserve this.
I can't never call my mom again and tell her I love her. I can't never call and tell her about my day.
He called the police himself. He picked up the phone, dialed, and told the dispatcher he had just killed his fiancé. Not that something had happened, not that there had been an accident. He said he had just killed her.
She grabbed the phone out of my hand while I'm trying to record and took the knife and poked the screen and pushed the screen all up on the phone. Then she slid the phone. And then she come talking to me, so I'm running around the room. I jump up on the bed, and when I jump up on the bed, she trying to come down on me with the knife, so I grabbed her gun from under the mattress, and she jumped, she was trying to come out. I shot, man. I kept telling her, baby, calm down, put the knife down, stop.
What the officers did not yet know what would take weeks of community pressure, a grand jury, and a full criminal trial to fully expose was that Tirrell Edwards had also been recording 3 videos, made that same night, by his own hand. And every single second of that footage was about to tell a story he never intended anyone to hear.
You gonna stab me?
I'm going to defend myself.
Defend yourself from what?
I'm going to defend myself.
You acting violent? There you go, see? No, you chill out. Chill out. Chill out. Chill out.
You know what?
Chill out. Why you trying to help me?
You know what?
You are watching Silent Outcome. Before we continue, like this video, drop a comment, and subscribe so you never miss a case like this. Amanda Williams built everything she had with her own hands. That is not a figure of speech. It is the most precise way to describe who she was and how she moved through the world. She was a stylist, a craftsperson, someone whose entire livelihood lived in the steadiness of her hands, the trust of the people who sat in her chair, and the reputation she built one client at a time over decades of work. She called herself Amanda the Stylist. And in Cleveland, in the tight, interconnected world of Black professional women who knew her, that name carried real weight. Her salon was called A La Mode Styles. She owned it, not managed, not co-owned, owned. In University Heights, Ohio, she had taken a vision and turned it into a physical space, a business with her name on it. A chair she showed up to every single day. A place where women came not just to get their hair done, but to be in her presence. That distinction mattered. There is a difference between a stylist people book and a stylist people return to. Amanda was the second kind, the kind whose clients did not just trust her hands, they trusted her. She was 46 years old. She was a mother. She was a grandmother. She was a sorority woman. She was a devoted member of her church, not a face in a pew, but a known presence, someone whose absence, when it came, would leave a shape in the air where she used to stand. Her son knew the version of her that existed before the world got its turn. The woman who built the business, raised the family, and still found a way to be the person everyone leaned on. Her granddaughter knew the softer version, the one that only exists in the particular warmth between a grandmother and a child who has no memory of a world without her in it. Amanda was not a woman who had been waiting for her life to begin. She had already built it. The salon was proof. The family was proof. The way the people closest to her described her not with general affection, but with the specific grief of people who understood exactly what they had lost, that was proof. She was not standing at the edge of something. She was in the middle of it, fully arrived, still growing, still adding to what she had already made. Amanda Williams was 46 years old, with a business she built, a son who loved her, a granddaughter who needed her, and a community that felt her presence the way you feel sunlight, not by looking directly at it, but by noticing when it is gone. She was not a name in a headline. She was a woman in full motion, and she deserved every single year she did not get. By the fall of 2022, Amanda Williams was engaged to be married. His name was Tirrell Edwards. They had been together since 2017, 5 years of building something together, before he placed a ring on her finger, and they began making plans for what came next. He had moved into her Warrensville Heights home in 2019. 3 years of shared mornings, shared space, shared routines. By the time the engagement came, it was not a surprise. It was the next logical step in a relationship that had been moving in one direction for years. They were planning a wedding, and more than that, they were doing the work that people do when they take a commitment seriously. They enrolled in premarital counseling. They sat across from each other in a room designed specifically for the hard conversations, the ones that test whether two people are actually building toward the same future or simply occupying the same present. They completed it, both of them, together. That detail matters more than it might seem. Premarital counseling is not something people do when they are going through the motions. It is something people do when they believe in what they are building, when they want to protect it. Amanda believed in this relationship enough to do the work. She invested her time, her vulnerability, and her genuine hope in the possibility that what she and Tirrell had was worth fighting for. Tirrell Edwards, when he later took the stand at trial and was asked to describe the relationship before everything fell apart, said it had been pretty good. That was the phrase he chose, pretty good. And in the context of everything that would eventually come out about what that relationship actually looked like behind closed doors, those two words would reveal themselves to be among the most carefully constructed of everything he ever said publicly. But Amanda did not know what the rest of the world did not know yet. What she knew in the fall of 2022 was that she was engaged, that she had a man in her home who she had chosen and who had chosen her back, that they had done counseling together and come out the other side, still moving forward. She had a salon, a family, a community, and now a future with a wedding at the end of it. She was not a woman in denial. She was not a woman who had missed obvious signs and chosen to ignore them. She was a woman who had every reason to believe that the life she was building was exactly what it appeared to be. The counseling sessions were real. The engagement was real. The plans were real. The hope was real. And that is the most painful part of this phase of Amanda's story. Not that she stayed in something she knew was broken, but that she had been given every reason to believe it was whole. She had done everything right. She had taken the relationship seriously. She had invested in its future. She had followed every instinct that a woman builds a life on. She was planning a wedding in the same season that she had no way of knowing she was running out of time. The relationship between Amanda Williams and Tirrell Edwards had been building towards something for years. Nobody outside that house could see it. That was the point. To the world looking in, he was her fiancé. The man who had been in her home since 2019. The man who sat beside her in premarital counseling and talked about forever. He was present. He was committed. He was the man Amanda Williams had chosen. Behind the doors of that home, something else entirely was happening. After Amanda died, evidence surfaced that the people closest to her had never been shown. There were photographs, not of a couple in love, photographs of what he had done to her body. And there were text messages written by Tirrell Edwards, in his own words, including one in which he apologized for kicking her in the face. He kicked her in the face. And then he wrote her a message saying he was sorry. She was still there, still in the relationship, still planning the wedding, still sitting in those counseling sessions working toward a future with a man who had already shown her, privately, exactly who he was. Her son did not know. Her church community did not know. The violence lived exclusively inside the walls of that house, wrapped in enough normalcy and enough apology to stay hidden. That is how it survives. Not through drama, through silence. By October 2023, the relationship was fracturing. The tension had been building for months, and it was finally pushing toward the surface. And when the collapse came, it did not arrive through a confrontation about the abuse or a conversation about the future. It arrived through a text message he sent that she did not respond to, and through the fact that she had suspended his cell phone service. That was it. An unanswered text. A phone bill. To Amanda, it was administrative. To Tirrell Edwards, it was something he could not let go of. She had made a decision about something in her own life. She had drawn a line, quietly, without announcement. And he spent the entire day of the 9th of October 2023 carrying that grievance into the night. She told him to leave, clearly, completely. It was her house and she was done. He did not leave. And the next piece of evidence that would determine everything, the evidence that would come from his own hand, recorded on his own phone, on the very night Amanda Williams died, is exactly where this story goes next. If you are not yet subscribed to Silent Outcome, right now is the time. Because what those recordings actually captured inside that bedroom is something Tirrell Edwards never intended anyone to hear.
You gonna stab me?
I'm going to defend myself.
Defend yourself from
I'm
what?
going to defend myself.
You acting violent? See, you go, see? No, you chill out. Chill out. Chill out. Chill out.
You know what?
Chill out. Why you trying to help me?
You know what?
The argument had been running all day. It was not a single explosion. It was a slow burn that had started with the unanswered text and the suspended phone line and had been building across the hours in the way that arguments do inside a house where the tension has nowhere to go. By the time night fell on the 9th of October 2023, whatever had been simmering between Amanda Williams and Tirrell Edwards had reached the point where one of them had made a decision. Amanda had made it. She wanted him out of her house, not tomorrow, not after a conversation, out. She made that clear in the most physical way available to her. She went to his closet, pulled his clothes out, and threw them on the floor. This is what you do when you are done talking. When the words have run out, and the only thing left is to make the message impossible to misread. She was not asking. She was not negotiating. She was telling him, leave. He told her he would. He went to the nightstand where he kept his guns, removed them, and carried them out to his car. That detail would later become significant in ways that are worth sitting with for a moment. He made a deliberate decision to move his weapons out of the house. He placed them in his vehicle. And then with his guns in the car and his clothes on the floor and a woman who had just made her position unmistakably clear, he came back inside. He came back in. Amanda, according to Edward's own testimony, said something to him before he left the first time. She told him that if he stayed that night, he was going to have to sleep with one eye open. He would later present that line to a jury as evidence of threat, as justification, as the moment Amanda became dangerous. But that line read clearly, in context. From the perspective of a woman who had spent years absorbing private violence and had finally reached the point of saying enough sounds less like a threat and more like a warning. The warning of a woman who had run out of patience and was finally, clearly, telling the truth about how she felt in her own home. He went to his car, he put his guns there, and then he turned around and walked back through the door she had just told him to walk out of permanently. What happened next unfolded in the bedroom. Edwards would claim that Amanda came at him with a kitchen knife, that she cornered him, that he was afraid, that he had no choice. That is the story he told police. That is the story he told the jury. He said he just shot rapidly. He said she had him so scared with that knife. He said it was survival. But Amanda Williams was found with 6 gunshot wounds. One of them entered her from behind. You do not shoot someone in the back while they are lunging at you with a knife. The geometry of that claim does not hold. A woman coming toward you cannot simultaneously be turning away from you. That wound, quiet, documented, immovable, would dismantle everything he said about what happened in that room, long before the jury ever deliberated. She was shot with her own gun, the gun that belonged to Amanda. The man who had walked to his car specifically to remove his own weapons from the equation had come back inside and used hers. At approximately 11:40 inches the evening, Tirrell Edwards picked up a phone and called the police. He told the dispatcher what he had done. Officers arrived and found Amanda. Emergency responders transported her to Cleveland Clinic's South Point Hospital. She did not survive. Amanda Williams was pronounced dead at the hospital. A salon owner, a mother, a grandmother, a woman who had spent the last hours of her life doing the one thing she had every right to do, telling the man in her home that it was time for him to go. When the police released Tirrell Edwards, Amanda's family was still burying her. He had called them himself. He had told the dispatcher what he did. Officers had come and taken him in for questioning. And then, on October 11th, 2023, approximately 48 hours after Amanda Williams took her last breath, the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office reviewed the preliminary evidence and determined there was insufficient evidence. Charge him. They let him go. Insufficient evidence. A man who called the police and told them he had just killed his fiancé. A woman found with 6 gunshot wounds, including one in her back, shot with her own gun. A house where the only 2 people present were the victim and the man now walking out the door. And the determination, made within 48 hours, was that there was not enough to hold him. Amanda's family heard that and decided they were not going to accept it. Her brother stood in front of cameras and said what the family was feeling with a clarity that did not leave room for misinterpretation.
I'm Amanda's brother. I'm Joey. And thank you, Vaughn. And I need justice. So, I mean, however you gotta come, I need it. You see all these people behind me? I mean, she is loved by a lot. She got an army behind her. And we begging for it the right way. We want justice. And thank you again, bro. Come here, Mike. Listen.
For any woman to be killed and only have an hour and a half, 2-hour investigation, any woman in Warrensville or any city should be scared. That was not grief talking. That was a man who understood exactly what had just happened and was naming it out loud so that everyone else would understand it too. His sister had been killed. The man who killed her had been released. And the investigation that was supposed to find the truth had been closed before it had barely begun. The family did not grieve quietly. They moved. They went to their church. They went to their community. They went public. The word church became a gathering point, a place where the grief and the outrage and the demand for accountability could organize itself into something the prosecutor's office could not ignore. A rally was held. People showed up. The community made clear that Amanda Williams was not going to be filed away as a domestic incident with insufficient evidence and forgotten. Her pastor said it plainly afterward. The weight of that community, he said, made people take them serious, made the prosecutor's office understand that this was not going away. It did not go away. A Cuyahoga County grand jury took up the case. They reviewed what the initial investigation had moved past too quickly. They looked at the photographs of prior abuse. They looked at the text messages. They looked at the cell phone videos recorded that night. They looked at the medical examiner's findings. They looked at the evidence and the self-defense claims sitting next to each other, and they reached a conclusion. On the 2nd of November 2023, less than 4 weeks after Amanda's family watched her killer walk free, the grand jury returned an indictment: aggravated murder, 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of felonious assault, 1 count of domestic violence. An arrest warrant was issued, and Edwards was urged to turn himself in. He surrendered the following morning. The family had done in 4 weeks what the system had decided in 48 hours was not worth doing at all. They had refused to let the story end where the prosecutor's office had tried to end it. They had stood in the gap between a flawed initial investigation and the truth, and they had held that ground until the institutions whose job it was to seek justice finally did their job. Amanda Williams did not get justice because the system worked. She got justice because the people who loved her refused to let it fail. Tirrell Edwards took the stand in his own defense. That decision to sit in front of a jury and tell his version of what happened inside that bedroom would prove to be the moment his story finally met the evidence he had created himself. He told the jury he was scared, that Amanda had come at him with a kitchen knife, that he had no choice, that he fired in self-defense. He had been telling that story since the night he picked up the phone and called the police. He had been telling it through the investigation, through the indictment, through every court appearance leading up to trial. It was the only story he had. The prosecution let him finish telling it, and then they played the videos. 3 cell phone recordings made by Tirrell Edwards on the night Amanda Williams died. His recordings, his phone, his decision to press record. The 3rd and longest video captured the sound of the gunshots. It also captured something else: Edwards himself, visible on camera, standing near the headboard of the bed, the location where the gun had been, while Amanda, according to the physical evidence, was several feet away near the foot of the bed, not charging, not lunging, not closing the distance between them in the way a person would if they were attacking someone with a knife. She was not near him. The medical examiner's findings had already told the jury what the recordings now confirmed. The back wound existed in direct and irreconcilable contradiction to every word Tirrell Edwards had spoken in his own defense. You cannot fire at someone in the back while they are coming toward you. The body does not allow for that story. The evidence does not allow for that story. The prosecution also noted something about the audio on that 3rd video. After the shots, there was no audible distress from Edwards, no panic, no devastation. Nothing that sounded like a man who had just been forced to make an impossible choice to save his own life. The silence where that emotion should have been was its own kind of testimony. The jury deliberated and returned their verdict on the 4th of March, 2024. Guilty of murder, guilty of felonious assault, guilty of domestic violence. The self-defense claim that Tirrell Edwards had built his entire legal strategy around collapsed completely under the weight of the evidence he had made himself. He had recorded his own undoing. On the 11th of March, 2024, Tirrell Edwards stood before a judge and said nothing. He had been given the opportunity to address the court, to speak to the family sitting in that room, to say something, anything, to the people whose lives he had permanently altered on a Monday night in October. He declined. The man who had called the police himself, who had taken the stand and told a jury he was scared, who had pressed record 3 times on the night he killed his fiancé, had nothing to say at the moment that required him to say something real. Judge Stephen Gall sentenced him to life in prison, first eligibility for parole after 24 years. 24 years before he sees the outside of a prison. 24 years before anyone is required to consider whether he deserves to walk free. And for the family of Amanda Williams, sitting in that courtroom and hearing those words, the sentence was justice in the legal sense, the only kind the system is capable of delivering. It was not restoration. It was not repair. It was not the thing that actually needed to happen, which was for Amanda Williams to still be alive. Nothing fixes that. Her pastor said those words after the verdict, and they have not stopped being true since. What was taken from Amanda Williams on the 9th of October, 2023, cannot be measured in a sentence. It cannot be quantified in years or reduced to a single count on an indictment. It lives in the specific and irreplaceable texture of a life that was still in motion when it was stopped. Her son will carry the knowledge of what happened in that house for the rest of his life. The weight of that does not lift. It does not become easier to hold with time. It simply becomes more familiar, a permanent presence in every room he walks into, every milestone he reaches, every moment that should have had her in it. Her granddaughter will grow up knowing her grandmother's name before she ever fully understands her grandmother's story. She will be told, one day, who Amanda Williams was. She will be shown photographs. She will hear the stories. She will learn about the salon and the clients and the way her grandmother lit up every room she walked into. But she will learn all of it secondhand. She will never have the years. She will never have the Saturdays. She will never have the specific, irreplaceable experience of being known and loved by that particular woman across the full length of a childhood. That is what intimate partner violence actually costs. Not just the life. Everything the life was going to produce. Every future moment that depended on that person being present. Every version of themselves that the people who loved her were going to become with her still in the world. If this case moved you, if you are sitting with the weight of what Amanda's family had to do just to get the system to take her death seriously, drop a comment below and tell Silent Outcome how you feel about the way this case was handled in those first 48 hours. Your voice in that comment section matters. The next investigation is already underway. She had a wedding she was planning, a future she believed in completely, a counseling program she had finished, a ring on her finger, and a life in full motion. She had a granddaughter who needed more time with her. She had a salon she had built from nothing into something real, a chair she showed up to every single day, a name that people in Cleveland knew and trusted and will not stop grieving. Amanda Williams was 46 years old. She owned her business. She loved her family. She told him to leave. It was her house. It was her life. And it should have been so much longer.
You know, they trusted somebody. Right. They trusted somebody, and this what he did. I've been around him a lot. I've been around him a lot, and I never. He a wolf in sheep's clothing, a little wolf. I didn't expect. I'm so glad I met him, so I could protect my daughter from people like him. He's very smart. He's a very smart dude. We the same age. We talk. He's very smart. He can manipulate that situation any way he wanted to, and he did exactly what he wanted to do. Exactly. Man, I can't begin to tell you how special she was. I mean, people, she did everybody here. I can imagine them getting their hair done and not thinking about her for the next 10 years. It's just, he know what he did, and I know that, you know, I can't forgive him for this. I can't, personally, because he's a man. I know how smart he was. I know he could have made the right decisions. You know, he could have been at Daytona Beach with his bike. He wanted to do exactly what he did, and that's what he did. And I am gonna keep going. I mean, I beg. He gave my sister everything he had. He gave her everything he had to give her in that gun. Every ounce of it. Please give him what you got in your, or every ounce of what you can give him. He didn't give her no. How could you kill that woman like that, Tirrell? Tell me, man. How did you do that to her, man? I just can't understand it as a man. I go through problems with my girl, but how a man can do something like that towards the person he's saying to love. He came to me, and my sister she put together our family reunion every year. And I walk up, and he pulled me to the side. As soon as I walked, he said, man, I want to ask you, man, can I marry your sister, man? Showed me a ring. I gave him dap. I said, man, I'm rooting for you. I just had got engaged myself. And I feel bad. I feel like I'm responsible for a little bit of this. I put trust in somebody like this, man, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to meet him, man, because I can protect the women in my family now and look at people different. Man.
It's not your hat to wear, though. I
Yep.
appreciate what you're saying, but
Yeah.
it's not your hat to wear.
I think he shouldn't have. I think that's why he stand up. He shouldn't have no problem doing whatever you got to give him. My great niece got to grow up. She was there. She told my daughter. They both the same age, 4 years old. I come home. My daughter say, "Damn." I'm sorry. Excuse me. My daughter say, "Yeah." Tyler said her papa killed her G-Ma and she was in the room sleep. I say, damn, I can't believe that kid, 4-year-old, can understand something like this. But I need her to be grown enough before he get out, so she can process this and learn how to forgive, I guess, from this. I don't want her as a teenager getting out and going through life and then something like this hitting to just make it that much worse. She need to be grown enough, I think, where she'll be able to understand it and be able to forgive. That's all I got. I mean, that's it. You know, Tirrell, you go do your time, man. You put yourself in this position, man. You know, we liked it you a little bit, but she liked it you, we liked it you. I tried everything in my everything to like you, man. And that's what you did. I think it's about to be lenient. You can't get enough time right now. Thank you for your time, Your Honor.
Thank you for
We appreciate it. All right.
I wrote everything down because I want to make sure I get every point.
You know, let me encourage you to. I know from when I read, sometimes I read a little faster than be able to get down. So just kind of keep that in mind. Again, I know it's important that we're all going to do what you have to say, so just keep that in mind, okay? What would you like for me to know?
Honestly, I feel if anyone could take a person's life intentionally, should never see another day in light. I would wish the death penalty, but unfortunately that's not here, so life in prison is best bet. I just can't stomach the fact that I have to live the rest of my life without my mom. My daughter has to live the rest of her life without her grandma because a coward wanted to take her life. My mom did not deserve this at all. My mother was a family-oriented person. She was my motivator, my best friend. She was the glue to this family. She was my guidance, my everything. I just can't live without her, and I can't imagine just living life without my mom. I can't never call my mom again and tell her I love her. I can't never call and tell her about my day, about how my daughter is doing, how she's growing up. I can't do that no more. He can do that. He can still call his mom. He can still call and check on her. They can all call and check and see how he's doing in jail. We can't get my mom back, ever. My daughter has to grow up without a grandma. She won't see her start kindergarten. She won't see her turn 5. grow up, be a teenager, she won't see any of that. I'm about to be 30 years old, but I won't even be here to see that milestone. She won't be able to see my brother graduate college or anything like that. I can't believe she's not here no more. How can I ever explain to my daughter that my mother is never coming back? That's the one that she called her Papa, the only one that she knew, the only person that she was around for 4 years. How can I even explain that to her? And you said you never wanted me to be traumatized. I was traumatized the moment I walked in the room and see my mom lying there. And I was even more traumatized. I couldn't even hold her with her last breath. I just can't. It's not sitting right with me. I don't feel like anyone should be out here in this world if they kill someone. I don't respect a person like that, and I don't have any sympathy. This man never had any remorse for my mom at all. He didn't try to get her up. He didn't try to make sure she was okay. He didn't have no remorse or nothing, and I don't either. I don't think that he should have any time. He should be in jail forever, for life. And this is my beautiful, kind-hearted mother that he just took a beautiful spirit away. She can't even finish her life.